welcome to A1 Vacuum and Sewing Reno's live stream for Monday, July 20th. You ladies are stuck with me this morning because Jeannie is in the midst of her class this morning. And unfortunately, she may be able to run up and join us, but this morning I had reached out to Shauna to be like, will you be with me so the ladies aren't just stuck with me? But unfortunately, you are just stuck with me this morning. So decent amount to cover. Figured we could take a little bit of time this morning to talk about some of the questions we had last week. And we hope y'all enjoyed a beautiful and wonderful weekend. Of course, last week and the week before, we kind of alluded to the fact that Saturdays had not been busy. And then I don't know if it was that and you guys all just decided to come in on Saturday, or if Saturday is just caught up to us. But this past Saturday, was ultimately very busy. I think a couple of folks stopped in and said, hey, I was here because I thought it wasn't going to be busy. But it did end up being relatively busy. Last week was relatively crazy. So as promised on the live stream on Friday, we worked over the weekend to catch up with things like special orders, etc. And so several of you probably received emails regarding those special orders, things like the gift cards for service and thanks, Myra. I don't mind seeing you every day either. So the special orders, we worked over the weekend to get caught up on those. Weather today, it's another hot one and it's a smoky one. I actually went outside to see if I could do the live stream outside and was amazed by the fact that I could smell the smoke from the hog fires up in Susanville. So for those of you impacted by the fires up there, I know we have a lot of customers up there. I hope everybody up there is safe and sound. And we hope they get those fires under control really quickly. Looks like another 95-degree day today. And like I said, it is pretty smoky outside. So yeah, we hope those of you up in those fire areas are safe and sound. Yeah, I hope it's not as hot as here. Betty, where are you? By the way, touching base on those Beneco fans, I do have a couple F230s, which are the big Beneco fans left. I've got a number like 4 or 5 of those F210s left in the store. Just to highlight. So in my house, and it's funny, you guys have heard Jeannie joke about the fact that she is like anti-AC. And quite frankly, the two of us are very pro fresh air. Last year when we moved into the house, it was a relatively mild summer. I don't know if you guys remember that. It like rained a bunch. And it was actually really, really cool. And I think we were in the house. We moved into the house over July 4th weekend. And I think at the end of the summer, we had run the AC twice because generally the house would stay cool until late afternoon. And at that point, we get these downslope winds. With the last kind of 2 weeks of heat, we've run that AC quite a bit. But the funny thing is when we run those fans, and there's a difference between when we do and when we don't, I actually bump the AC to 78 degrees. Now, several of you are probably hearing that and going, oh my God, that's way too hot. But what's funny is when we run the fans, and I actually only run one. I run it as described earlier on the landing just to help get that hot air out of the upstairs. at 78 degrees, it is, it actually keeps the upstairs manageable. I mean, we have ceiling fans in the rooms and stuff like that help move air in the rooms as well. But basically, between the AC coming on when it is hot upstairs, like almost 80 degrees upstairs, and running that fan, we've kept it manageable. Now, the funny thing is, if I turn that fan off, and I've played with it a lot over the summer because it's been much, much hotter this summer. Totally different story. I've got to lower that AC down to like 74 to keep the temperature manageable. And it's funny because I like, even as hot as it's been, and it's hit 100 degrees a couple times near my house here, we monitor our energy usage, and I haven't used the AC more than like 4.5 hours a day. So it's been significantly manageable. And it'd be interesting to hear from the ladies if you guys would like for me to run another daily deal on those fans, because I did do a pretty significant purchase of fans at the beginning of the summer. We're halfway through the summer here. I have a handful of them left. I could run a special on those fans again. And for those of you who did get the fan, I know we've gotten really good feedback directly, but just chime in and let us know what you think about the fans. I've been floored by the fan. And it's funny, my F230, I turned it off this morning because you guys might have this microphone that I'm using kind of picks up everything, and it'd be white noise in the background, and I didn't want that running in the background. But that F230 has run for like 5 days straight. Like, I've just let it run all day, every day. Cindy, they're on the website, and Aida, we sell fans by Beneco. It's a Swiss company that designs these fans. They're called air shower fans. If you guys would like, I could reach out to you at the store tomorrow to discuss them with you. But they are, the way they work is they blow a concentrated stream of air. So it's not a wide dispersion fan. And they're very specifically set up to be used to move the air in your house, with the idea being that you can point them where the hot air is, and it cools the air in those areas. That cool air drops, and it moves the cool air from the cool areas of the house up into those areas of the house. So I'm in a split level with 3 levels, and Jeannie always complains that her sewing room is almost cold all summer long. It's like 60, like without the fan, it'll be 65 degrees down there. It's almost daylight basement. And when we run the fans, it goes up by almost 10 degrees. But the temperature differential in the house is significantly lower. So with that said, we do have a lot to cover today. I will run the fans as a deal of the day. I'll try to work them in this week, and we can talk more about them when we run them on that deal of the day. So, a number of things to cover for Jeannie. Kits for the Jubilee are available, and they are done. They're available at the store, as are kits for the ice cream social. That said, the kits for the ice cream social were sent out over the weekends. If you sign up for the ice cream social and you need a kit, like if you've signed up recently, like the last couple of days, let us know. Basically, Jeannie would need to get those out to you today or tomorrow, so those can be done. We did, and it was a sign of what was going on last week. We did not run our giveaway until Saturday. I ended up in a situation on Saturday where the Jeannie was out of the store. I was shorthanded. one of the guys for half a day at the store. One of my guys just wasn't feeling that great. We did a delivery of something very heavy in the morning, and I sent him home to make sure he got some rest. So it was just me and Violet. Shauna was in class all day, and it was just very, very steady. So we didn't run that until Saturday. It was like 7:30 at night. I was aware that we didn't do it, but everybody was tired. I sent everybody home, made sure everybody got rest. Shauna reached out to me at like 7:30, like, did we ever do it? I'm like, no, we're going to do it tomorrow. So Marilyn Smith, congratulations. She may actually be in the class this morning. I don't know if she's on the stream or not. I know we reached out to her, but congratulations. You won the wedding day design, and that was sent out to you along with the rest of your stuff on Saturday. We've had an overwhelming amount of questions regarding Software 101. Are you here for a little while?
Like 2 minutes. Good
All right.
morning.
So, Software 101, Technique Tuesday tomorrow. We will be doing a technique, but Michelle...
I hope I don't forget.
Michelle is coming in to talk about it tomorrow.
I know.
Oh my God, you look 22 years old.
I know. Did you? No more gray. I washed that gray right out of my hair. Remember that? Do you remember that?
Gonna wash that gray right out of my hair. Gonna wash that
I washed
gray
it right out, and
hair.
I feel like $1,000,000, even though I didn't even comb my hair this morning.
She was up so early this morning, and I was like struggling to get out of bed.
I was telling the girls, like, this shirt, I wore this yesterday, and then
right?
I wore it all day yesterday, and then it was my pajama shirt, and now I still have it on, and I didn't even brush my hair.
So, Michelle will be in to answer a lot of your questions tomorrow, and we'll kind of do a QA with her. There have been a lot of questions about the class. And listen, a lot of the stuff that we are trying to do, we're doing with a compressed timeline, meaning like we're learning about it as you guys are learning about it, because we are really aggressively trying to push this new curriculum. Michelle is creating the curriculum as we do it. So that process will kind of smooth out. We're going to have Michelle in the store 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And she's going to be doing classes 2 days a week. But like a lot of you guys had questions, and rightly so, because we weren't covering all the information.
We didn't know all the answers either.
But we didn't know all the answers too.
So, because one of the things that's really important for us at the store is that when you buy something, you use it. Like, it breaks my heart to think that you have software that you're not using.
Just remember, you're hitting right in front of the microphone.
Let me just put my hands behind my back. So
here's my knee.
Let me go to town on Patrick's knee. So I'm so excited about the software class because she sent me kind of an outline of the first 3 classes and what's going to be going on. Then we're going to be adding to that. And it's stuff that, I'm excited to learn. And so I think everyone should get software.
So, I
saw that.
Yeah. So, let's see. Do you
mind me to run through classes really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I'm going to be leaving in just 2 seconds. I'm just here because we're satin stitching. We're doing the boardwalk quilt right now. Fun in the Sun. So we have a Janine Babbage class that's going to be happening on Thursday with Shauna. So if you want to sign up for that, you still can. This is just an example of the Janine Babbage designs. This is a brand new one. God Bless America. And they're the ones that go on the little tri-stand. So she's doing Fun in the Sun. That is on the 23rd from 2 to 5. There's an accessory class on Wednesday. So if you haven't taken your accessory class yet, just email me if you bought your machine from us, because that's one of the complimentary classes that goes with your machine. So that is on Wednesday, 9:30 to 12:30, and I will send you the information. If you have a Solaris or Luminaire and you have not taken your sewing or your embroidery class, we have one of each happening this week. Sewing is on Wednesday, 1 to 4. Embroidery is on Friday from 1 to 4 as well. If you have taken those classes already and you just need a refresher, you can always sign up and take them over again. Sometimes, what they say is you retain 7 to 10% of what you hear on a first-time basis. For some of us, it's a little bit less. I say maybe I'm about 5%. So if you feel like you want a little refresher and you've had your machine for a while and you're ready to learn again, you can always sign up to take those classes.
Were we supposed to sign up for a kit for Ice Cream Social? You did not need to, I
Well,
don't believe.
okay, so we made a mistake because we got so excited when we signed people up. There was supposed to be a kit fee and it was $5. So if you signed up before then and you'd be okay with paying the $5 so I can give it to Michelle for the kit, that would be awesome. But we have kits for everyone. So there'll be a kit for everybody.
So you didn't need to sign up for one.
No,
right?
you didn't need
Yeah.
to sign up. It was going to be part of it.
changed the
And we
price
changed
later.
the price later
Yeah.
to $26, and that included the kit, the fee, the kit fee. If you have an Aventura or a Brothers 1600, there is a class for you on Saturday from 1 to 3. So again, if you've never taken the class or you want to do a refresher, you can sign up for those. And that's it for me. My satin stitch might be done. I'm out of here. Love you. Be creative. Make something awesome. And I'll see you tomorrow.
So, and wow, she just covered everything she'd asked me to cover, which is awesome. Last but not least, I just wanted to answer some questions that we got last week. I mean, we talked a lot about service last week. So a couple things. Number of people reached out and said, hey, there's no serger service in what you guys have done. Hey, I'd love to do the deal of the day, but I want to wait and buy the deal of the day for discounted service when you guys are more caught up. So a couple thoughts on that. We'll run a second deal of the day. I get it. And because the services are more expensive from a deal of the day standpoint, we will do them again. And maybe it's something that we'll just do once a quarter or every couple of months or something like that. So we will do them again. Regarding service shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, like anecdotally, I haven't actually looked at the numbers from the last 2 weeks, but Jeannie last week actually said service almost seems to be getting worse. So for those of you who are waiting with these high stitch numbers, I don't know if waiting is really going to help you guys that much at all. At least right now, tons of people are using their sewing machines. I mean, we're meeting a lot of new customers and people that haven't sewn for a long time that are taking machines out of the closet and using them for the first time in a long time. And long story short, they are... I'm trying to think of how to even put it, but we're seeing a lot of broken machines and they're coming out of the woodwork is an easy way to put it, I guess. So for those of you with really high stitch numbers, waiting, I don't think is going to help you. Traditionally, this is our slowest time. Like the month of July and into August actually slows down significantly. And then when the kids go back to school in August, and everybody gets back from summer vacations, things pick back up again. And actually the fall, we generally see the kind of numbers that we're seeing right now. And it's funny, I ran the numbers this morning, and even with our guys having taken a month off, I mean, essentially, when we first got shut down, there was about 40 days that we didn't have our shop kids in the store every day. Even with that, our numbers have already surpassed what we did last year, which means that month of revenue, a month of numbers of machines was compressed into the time that they've been back. So I did seem to get a ton of emails last week with some suggestions as far as service is concerned. So, and I just want to adjust those really quickly. We service 3,000 machines a year. It's a number that you've heard me talk about a number of times. So a handful of things. Like I did get several emails last week that it would be great if we had some kind of reservation system and even like what you guys get at some of the other stores as far as like like a service system. And we've looked at those consistently. I've looked at those over the last 5 years that we've owned the store. In fact, there's a module that can be added to our existing service to allow that to happen. I just want to address that really quickly because we service 3,000 machines a year. So what I hear consistently from the shops that use those modules, and these are modules where basically when your machine comes into service, you basically take all the notes. It's all attached directly to the machine serial number, everything else. And then it goes back to the tech. And there's something that very few people consider with the volume going on in our store. That check-in process takes roughly 10 minutes. Now, when the guys take the machine off the shelf and put it on their desk, they've then got to check in that module, and they start the time that they've worked on the machine, and then they've got to input their notes, and then essentially you're adding 15 to 20 minutes to that service life cycle with that machine on the tech side and 10 minutes at check-in. And so I didn't do the math this morning, but where it gets kind of crazy for a shop like ours is you're talking about ordering 25 minutes for 3,000 machines divided by 60. That's adding 12 hours and 50 minutes to our service life cycle. Now, where it gets really, really crazy is the Bev. Keep in mind, if you were to do anything like that, that would negate the entire purpose of the 3-day quarantine. You're talking about 1,250 hours added to the service life cycle in the store. And so as I talk to other dealers, and I mean, we're a top 10 dealer. We go on trips with other top 10 dealers, and we're in touch with other top 10 dealers. So there is this crazy consideration. Most of the shops I deal with, when I talk about the number of machines that actually come through the shop, tell me I'm crazy. Like, they're like, oh my God, there's no way we could do that number of machines. So what the guys do back in service is, I always praise those guys, but I can't praise them enough. Two, so most of those shops, if they do have that kind of volume, are significantly larger than we are. And meaning they've got like 8 or 10 techs in the back. And so they can divide those services up with significantly higher number of techs. We are always kind of keeping an eye out and kind of watching to see if we can hire another tech. And that is an active part of the discussion right now. I touched on the fact that we moved one tech out and hired another tech. But the reality is the shops that use those systems just don't have the volume that we do. And the funny thing is, with the shops that do have those systems that do the kind of volume that we do, their pricing is almost twice as high because they are spreading that out over a significantly higher number of people. So, about that is the shops that I have talked to that do have that kind of volume do what we do, like kind of handwritten tags, call people on the fly. Joanne, that's the math. It is crazy when you look at the amount of time that it adds per machine. In fact, we started trying to do something a little bit more similar. And the reality was, between the guys and me, I was just like, we just can't do it. It takes too much time. So right now we are doing a lot to track machines, see how long it takes to get machines through service. We do have service logs, so we can go back and look at those service logs. We're doing that all handwritten. We're doing it all on the fly because, rather than adding 20 to 25 minutes per machine, it adds a couple of minutes. So I just want the folks who did send those emails to know it's not something that we haven't considered. We consider it. We actively consider it. But I think right now, especially when there's such a rush in service, that we'd rather keep that flow of machines high. Bev, as I mentioned, the entire purpose of the 3-day quarantine is the science around coronavirus is that it doesn't survive on services at least that well beyond 72 hours. So if I let you keep the machine and use it, I'd have to quarantine it again for 72 hours when it comes in. I did get a handful of questions. For some of you, I've sent machines home because we've been waiting for parts. Like, we found a problem with your machine. The machine was usable, but we needed to have parts. So I sent it home and said, you can use it in the way that you can use it. And then when I get the parts, you can bring the machine back. With those machines, we sanitize the machine before we do anything with them. They're sanitized before they go home with you as well. But a couple of you know each other. And once again, like, I'm not talking to anybody specific here. These are like, I'm getting like 8, 9, 10 questions about this. But part of the reason, like, if you know each other and your friend gets called before you do, or if or something like that, is we're trying to stagger those, because what we don't want to do is take, like, if I had 8 or 10 people come in to service their machines all at once, or for us to put parts into machines all at once, because sometimes I do get those parts in batches. Like, I'll have a week and I'll order the parts at the end of the week, and then all of a sudden I get 8 or 10 parts at the same time. I don't call everybody on those at the same time, because we're trying to stagger those to keep the service lineup kind of similar to where it is. And then I have had a number of people ask about a reservation system. I haven't done that for one simple reason. And it becomes very, very complicated to manage that. And given the volume in the store, that management just isn't something that we're interested in. But bigger than that is that those reservation systems get really, really tricky. And last week was a tough week in service. At the end of the week, I walked back. I always check in on the guys, and I walked into the back on Friday after they got home from this delivery that we did, and I asked the guys how they were doing, and the guys looked at me and said, "It's been a really tough week on service. Every machine we've serviced has been a problem machine." So the challenge with that is, like, 4 or 5 problem machines in a single day will put us back an entire day in service. And that's been happening more and more. We touched on the fact that we're seeing a lot of machines with very, very high stitch numbers. We're seeing a lot of machines from people that haven't used their machine for a long time. They've pulled their machines out. They've sewn, like, it's common. Like, people are like, I've sewn 250 masks. And then I look at this machine, the machine's a disaster. Nothing's in line. And so, when we have Joanne, it gets crazy. It gets crazy. So the service lineup, when we have a week like that, can get pushed out like several days. Now, if I have a reservation system and you're supposed to drop your machine off on Tuesday, and I've got 8 or 10 people supposed to drop their machine off on Tuesday, and then you're notified on Friday, hey, Tuesday doesn't work, or you can drop your machine off on Tuesday where you were expecting to get it back in a certain period of time or something like that. And now we're 2 or 3 days behind. Now I don't have a chance to catch up, and I've just made that many more people angry. So there's a lot of thought and a lot of process. And you guys have to remember, I come from a consulting and strategy background. And so there's a lot of thought and a lot of process that goes into the service lineup. And I totally appreciate suggestions, concerns, questions. And that's part of the reason why we're talking about it right now. But for right now, what we're doing does seem to be working the best. And I know there's some frustration involved for those of you who have to wait a little bit longer for your machines. But we're not alone in this. Like, we've actually checked and have kind of looked around, and we have the largest service department in town. B, we have the most experienced service department in town. Our 2 senior techs, 5 years experience each, and I'll put them against anybody anywhere, quite frankly. I'd like, having seen other service departments. But, you know, it's just an unprecedented time with a lot of traffic. So, just getting back to the original point, we will run those specials again in a handful of weeks as we get into the fall. Several people reached out and said, run this again. Just, I'd rather spend when I'm more likely to service. And Raven, that is an excellent point. It is a great time to consider a backup machine. Lately, I've gotten a number of really nice trade-ins the last couple of weeks. So if you ever wanted to talk about that, in fact, I had somebody reach out to me last week saying, hey, I want to trade in here. And so I do have some really nice trade-in machines right now that would make good backup machines. And you know, there are crazy deals going out of the store. Like, I haven't really modified that price list for the kids that much at all. That's what I've been selling the machines at, just to get machines out. In fact, Alex last week, if you guys have ever considered looking at a vacuum, Alex last week jokingly said to me, thank you for selling everybody that came in for vacuum service a new vacuum. Because just looking at how tired and exhausted those guys were, literally, if you came in for vacuum service last week, I showed you a new vacuum, and I sold vacuums at crazy low prices last week just to try to remove the burden from those guys. Anybody who's interested in something like that can reach out to me directly. And I think that just about covers it. We love you guys. Jeannie already said her tagline of taking half an hour of your time. I appreciate that you guys spend that time with us every morning. There's a reason we do this even on our days off, because, you know, I feel like it makes us closer to you and vice versa. And we really do consider you guys family. So we appreciate the support. We appreciate your time, and have a fantastic day. Don't breathe in too much of the smoke. And we'll be back to you with Technique Tuesday and Michelle Gilmartin, who we can't say enough positive things about, tomorrow.